Let me get this straight. Every time there's a major attack, a massacre, a national trauma, we're told don't speculate, don't ask questions, don't notice patterns. And yet somehow the same weird shit keeps happening. So today I'm not here to explain anything. I'm here to ask the questions we're apparently not allowed to ask. And if that bothers you, there are still plenty of channels pretending governments never lie. But if it doesn't bother you, stick about, because I've got something I'd like to discuss with you. Yes, hello, welcome to the channel. It's me, Chris with a K. I hope everyone's well today. So carrying on from the horrific, possibly false flag of what happened in Australia. First of all, for those who did die, my heart and my thoughts are with the families involved, because regardless of whether this is what we think it is or it's not what we think it is, it's still always just the normies who end up as the collateral damage. So I just want to get that out of the way first, because whatever happened, I do believe loss of life occurred. So let's just start with the obvious. There's a man who survived the 7th of October, later appears in the coverage of another violent attack, describes it as a bloodbath, and had time to take a selfie while the chaos was unfolding. Now pause, I'm not saying that's impossible. I'm asking, how often does one fella end up at two globally significant events, violent events? And a better question, why do we keep pretending it's too weird to notice that? Because if this was a movie, we'd be calling it lazy writing. And so let's talk about the selfie. People rush to defend with this. Everyone films everything now. Sure. But here's the awkward question. If it was absolute chaos, a bloodbath, why does the documentation look calm enough to frame a shot? Again, not accusing, just asking. At what point does modern behaviour become narrative convenience? And now zoom out. This isn't the first time people have noticed this. People have noticed the same faces, the same witnesses, same talking points appearing after different major events. And every time this gets mentioned, oh, you're imagining it, you're paranoid, touch grass, oh, where's your tinfoil hat? Well, actually, it's over there. But here's the thing, why do these coincidences only ever seem to show up during high impact political moments? Not car accidents, not random fires, not everyday crime, only events that justify policy changes, surveillance, military responses, censorship. Funny that. And then let's talk about crisis actors. Ah yes, the magic phrase. Say it's a crisis actor and suddenly debate ends, nuance dies, and you're dismissed without discussion. But here's the question nobody actually wants to answer. Why does that accusation even exist in the first place? Because people didn't invent out of thin air. We know for a fact role players are used in drills, PR agencies manage witnesses, media coaching exists. So the real question isn't, are all survivors fake? It's, why should the public automatically trust media narratives that have lied repeatedly before? And then there's the good old Netanyahu warning. Now let's talk about timing. There is footage of Benjamin Netanyahu warning Australia about rising threats before the attack.
On August 17th, about 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia. I wrote, "Your call for a Palestinian state pours full fuel on the anti-Semitic fire. It rewards Hamas terrorism. It emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. Anti-Semitism is a cancer. It spreads when leaders stay silent. It retreats when leaders act. I call upon you to replace weakness with action, appeasement with resolve. Instead, Prime Minister, you replaced weakness with weakness and appeasement with more appeasement. Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia. The cancer cells that were growing inside your country, you took no action, you let the disease spread, and the result is the horrific attacks on Jews we saw today. We saw an action of a brave man, turns out a Muslim brave man, and I salute him, that stopped one of these terrorists from killing innocent Jews. but it requires the action of your government, which you're not taking. And you have to, because history will not forgive hesitation and weakness. It will honor action and strength. That's what Israel expects of each of your governments in the West and elsewhere, because the disease spreads and it will consume you as well.
Now, I'm not saying he knew anything. I'm asking how many warnings like that exist by violence, and why is it always warnings followed by bloodshed that get replayed non-stop afterwards? Is that foresight or narrative insulation? Because once the warning exists, the story becomes, we told you so, and then nobody asks anything beyond that. Why does this all feel off? Here's why I think people feel uneasy, even if they cannot articulate it. Put it together. Prior warnings, dramatic imagery, viral survivors, instant media consensus, social pressure not to question, and then suddenly the story doesn't feel organic, it feels assembled, not necessarily staged, but managed. And when people sense that kind of management, they push back, not because they're stupid, but because they've been lied to many times before. And so here's the question that I think really matters. Not is this a psyop, but why do the official narratives always seem to fall apart the moment people sit down, stop and think? If everything is legitimate, why does scrutiny feel so dangerous? Why does skepticism get punished? And why does curiosity get labelled? Okay, so I'm not telling you what to believe. All I'm saying is that if you are noticing patterns, you're not broken. And if coincidences keep stacking up, then maybe the problem isn't the questions. Maybe it's the stories that we're told to stop questioning. But let me know what you think in the comments. Look after yourselves, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.